Felix Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Erica. It's been a while. I've been reaching out to you. I saw you doing your work with some of my players, and I just wanted to meet and see what's going on.
Absolutely. And yeah, you're like right in my neighborhood. We're both in Tampa, Florida. And I know you've coached a lot of girls who train in the gym with me and do speed training. So I was like, I have to get this guy on because I love talking about technical skill development, tactical development, and just kind of hearing different perspectives. And you have a really unique story and upbringing. So I would love for you to just start there, where you grew up and how that inspired everything you're doing now.
Wow. Um, so right now the name is Flex. So Coach Flex, that's who you get Flex soccer training from. So I was born in Trinidad and Tobago. It's in the Caribbean. I moved from Trinidad and Tobago to Grenada when I was like 12. I went to school there and I graduated there, went to university there, you know. And that's where in Grenada is where I really get the passion to even play, even coach the game of football, we call it soccer, right? So I think in Trinidad I used to play a little bit of the game there. I used to play a lot of cricket and basketball in Trinidad. So I wasn't really intrigued to play in soccer, right? But I think when I went to Grenada and I started coaching there, and then when I came to Tampa, the scene here wasn't big on basketball. So I played so much basketball, competed in so much competition, so much experience in basketball that I couldn't transition to basketball, but I was coaching so much soccer already. So I'm like, okay, watch. I have two options, either to go on the basketball route or the soccer route. And then I say, okay, I'm going to do the soccer route. So I started coaching one-on-ones first. I met a coach here in Tampa named Coach Eddie, and he was the first guy I actually met out here, and he gave me equipment to work with, and like a few soccer balls and a few cones and a few stuff. So it's a really small beginning where I started, and from there is where I started making connection with people because Coach Eddie would let me meet people, and I met with a club in here called TBU, and I met with TBU first, and then I started coaching there a little bit for a year or two. And I went to a club called Florida Premier FC, which I am at currently, and ever since that, I just started growing the small group business of coaching kids and helping kids, and it's just the thing of helping people and seeing a smile on the face, see that they understand something and they have the passion to do something. It's just that helping is what I enjoy doing. So that's it in a nutshell. It's so much other parts, but I think for sure that I really get a passion to coach in Grenada. And I still travel back there to see how I can help back there. So I want to do some charity work back there to help the communities over there, and however possible I could spread the knowledge of the game because I'm gaining a lot of knowledge right now from the game in the US. I have been doing USSF courses here, so I'm currently pursuing the A license, and I'm gonna do as much as I can. I'm very young right now, so I want to do as much as I can. With how much time I have, and as much knowledge I get, I want to share the players that I work with in terms of um, organization, in terms of being disciplined, having respect for others, socializing. Because I think the social aspect right now in the game has really dropped off. So I would have players not communicating with each other and not able to communicate with them. How would you know how each other think? So it's just these little things that really disrupt the game right now when it comes to the social aspect of the game. But I think the technical level of the game is going really high. There's a lot of know-hows on how to find out things in terms of fitness. That's where you come in, breaking down things. I'm like, okay, well, you talking about these things, and it makes sense because we have to play a game on the weekend, and then in the weekdays, I was victim of this, right? I was victim of this. I was part of that process where I would run the players down in the week, and then the weekend, I'm wondering why they're not performing, but their legs are dead. You know, they can't move. And then I went to a couple of the courses, and they say, "Hey, how do you structure your training session? How much the workload is." And then they put us in the session and say, "Okay, let's do the session right now." When we do the session, they say, "Please do this 3 to 4 times a week and then play a game." I was like, "No." So I appreciate you having me here, and I just want to speak more about how you deal with that situation. How do you help players, find that balance between, okay, training and keeping the intensity in the week, and then think about, hey, we got to transition into a game in the week and maybe two.
Mhm. I love that you're thinking about the workload management side of it because a lot of like technical trainers just they kind of have their plan set in stone and they don't really think about the games that were played over the weekend or
Right?
the training week ahead at the kids team practice. So that is so important. And I know a lot of my girls who actually work with you, they've said that about your training. It's really well thought out, well planned around the workload. And they also tell me like they just love you. They're like, it is such a blast and he's so passionate and we feel like our skills are so much sharper. And I'm just really curious, what do you think kind of gives like your training and your philosophy that like it factor? Like what is it about like what you're teaching that you think is really sticking with these kids?
I think most importantly is that I'm very genuine. At this first set of things, I'm gonna be realistic with you. And I'm not gonna tell you some BS and carry you down a rabbit hole and you can't come back out of it. You know what I mean? Because when you say I start working with a client, and my wife is like 100% of this. If you're gonna work with somebody, you normally do it 150%. So if you're gonna work with somebody, you gotta be realistic with them, and you gotta make sure all the boundaries are there, make sure the environment is there. But I just bring a genuine feeling to it. Like I want to genuinely help you. So if you're gonna spend time with me and you're gonna come train me every day or every other day or every week or whatever you decide to do, right? That time is golden. We can't get that time back, right? So that hour that we work with, I take it so valuable, and I sometimes overthink it because if I don't overthink it, I'll miss a lot of details. I'm very detail oriented. So I will make sure when the person comes in there, understand how they're feeling, what's going on, you may have a long day of school, so you're probably not 100% ready to go mentally. So I have to see how they're feeling and just create that environment, that warm environment where they feel welcome there and no judgment zone. And of course, we get to figure things out. So we have to communicate. So just creating that really comfortable environment for the player to succeed in. And that's what's very important in any environment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, are there any things from growing up in another country that have inspired like some of the methods you are using and just like developing the player's skills?
uh, for me, so we're in the Caribbean, everybody knows everybody. You understand me? If I don't know you directly, I may know somebody who knows you, who knows you, who knows you, right? And it's a small circle of people, very happy people that want to just live their life, right? So I grew up with limited resources to work with. Like I didn't have so much things that I have right now because it was accessible to me, right? And I'm grateful for all those opportunities I have here, and I'm grateful for the players I'm able to work with, the coaches I'm able to meet, the mentors. There's so much people that I've encountered in the last. I've been here for 6, 7 years, and the amount of people I've encountered and the players that I encountered inspires me to do more, to help more, to collaborate more, to help. Like it's just so. I think it's the all the information we have available right now is just invaluable if you don't share it. Like. So if I know I can help a player develop here and I see where they're struggling, I feel like I can help. I want to help. And back in the islands where I come from, we want to help every time. If you see somebody you want to help, if somebody shut down on the side of the road, you want to help out. Hey, what's going on? You need to get some fruits. Hey, we got some fruits here. Take some fruits. So it's just that friendly banter we normally have back home that I just grew up with and I have it here. And I want to share the culture with me and just share the person because at the end of the day, right? If everybody played the same way, this game would be boring, right? It's all about the personality. It's all about the coach, how the coach demeanor is, how he interact with people, how he behaves, And I'm just very unique in how I act, and this is how who I am.
I love that. It's like your coaching and your drills, they don't matter unless you have that culture and you
Correct.
have the kids like really believing in what you're doing. what do you think a lot of soccer players that you work with today, what are they struggling with the most in their game or in their skills?
At this moment, well, we know all know social media is a big scene here right now, and all my players struggle with the social aspect of the game. You understand me? The social aspect of the game, the psychological aspect of the game, dealing with pressure from either the parent or coach, just that environment is not a good balance for some players, and they're not used to it. I think sometimes, and I was part of that until I do more self reflection. So I do a lot of self reflection right now during games, after games, after sessions, after training sessions. I do a lot of self reflection and think about, hey, so what impact did I have on that player? Could I have helped the player some other way? What could I have done in the game better that I didn't even say better? And I have a coach that I worked with recently, called Coach Matt from Orlando. He told me that why not record your session on voice note in your pocket. So I have a voice note in my pocket, and when it's done, I press stop, and on the way home, I'll drive and listen to what I was saying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I said. Oh, I said this under my breath. Oh, I said this. So I could identify the frustration. I could understand when it's good time in the session, and I know based on the plan I made where I was in the session, and I know, oh, so this point in time, I understand why I was frustrated. Maybe the player wasn't getting it, so the players wasn't solving this. So now I gotta change that part of it to make it better next time. So it's constant making changes to the players you work with. And at the end of the day, if you have a team, you can have a year with that team, and most likely you might not see the results you want in the first few months. But as the progression continues and the players trust you and the team trusts you, you get that result. So it's constant changing. That's how it is coaching kids. Kids grow as they grow. You gotta adjust. But I think the social aspect is really kind of like tuning the kids out. And when the kids are going to school in the day, daytime from 8 to like 3 o'clock, when it comes to training at 6 o'clock, they're probably not mentally ready yet. So as a coach, you have to be ready to adjust and see who's ready and see who you need to speak to a little bit to get them plugged in and ready to go. So it's a lot of combating this with that social media aspect. I think technical training wise, they do that all the time. There's dribble up, there's all these technical stuff on YouTube, there's all these skills. It could get crazy sometimes on YouTube and Instagram where you're doing all kind of different skills which is not even realistic to the game. I'm like, you want to do this move here, you're not going to even try it in the game. But it's good to have those skills that make you feel confident in yourself. And I could do this skill, I could do this, right? But at the end of the day, I think the kids forget about the game itself and how it's played, and they worry about all the other little cute little things that they want to do and make fancy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I always say if you have a good foundation, you have a good fundamental, then let's think about being fancy. You know what I mean? Because if you can't even pass the ball, why are you being fancy? Makes sense. If you can't dribble past somebody, why you being fancy? Yeah, right. So technical part of it, I think is good, but there's so much exposure to different things that people look at, and I think a lot of our players now focus only on attacking. All the Messis and all the Ronaldos, and I love those players, but there are other players in the game also, like the defenders. We don't talk about the defenders anymore. We don't talk about the midfielders anymore. The goalkeepers are now a big scene, right? So at Flex Soccer training and when I coach, I try to include everybody. Everybody's part of the process, not only the striker who scores the goals. So if a striker scored a goal, the striker have to thank 10 players behind them who set that ball up for you to get it. You know what I mean? Or you got to thank the goalkeeper who made that good distribution to start the play, to build up to get the goal. So that social aspect to thank people is kind of like being diminished. So I'm trying to grasp that back into there. I don't know how it's gonna be. It's gonna be difficult because we're going to the technological side right now, but I don't know. It's a battle right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is a battle, and I'm just kinda curious how you kind of fight that and improve that social aspect. Like, are you just making sure the kids are coming to your sessions and not feeling so much pressure and kind of free to, like, be themselves? Like,
Right,
is that
right,
along lines of what
right.
you're doing?
I think at the end of the day, if you're in an environment where you're comfortable, to be yourself, you can express yourself even more, right? Like if I'm in an environment where I feel, oh my gosh, I'm being judged every time here, and I can't make a mistake here, or I can't express myself, then you can't really think outside the box. You're gonna stay in that little bubble and say, hey, I'm gonna stay in that zone right here and try to avoid making mistakes, try to avoid not trying new things, and then you're not gonna excel. So, but because I create that environment where, hey, let me see you do that move there. Okay, let's go. We got a mannequin here. Let's drive to the mannequin. Be brave. Express yourself. Do a move that you want to do all the time. You've been thinking about, right? But think about the game. Think about, okay, if I do this move here, is it fast enough? Is it realistic? Am I gonna get possibly defended with that? If you did get possibly defended with that, you gotta show me a video that you have from your last game. Because they have video and all this stuff that record games now, so they can see all this information. But the thing is, we have all this information, but how are the players dissecting it? You know what I mean? What are they looking at really? Are they looking at their first touch? Are they looking at the space around them? Are they looking at what's happening with their teammates? So a lot of players will get all this video, but how do they deal with it? So I try to create an environment for them to learn, of course, and for them to feel comfortable first. And then normally I have a plan for them. So if I'm doing one-on-one with somebody, they have a plan. They know what they'll be working on, they know what we're focusing on. And yeah. So it's just having that balance when it comes to the training, and just figuring out what's gonna happen, and then trying to execute it as much as possible, but not like draining it down to where they can't really perform.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really like that you mentioned that players have to understand how this move applies to the game and not just be so focused on the drill and dribbling through cones and going against the mannequin, and it has to be something that they actually apply and use. And I always think a lot of people think that, like, being a creative player is being flashy with your feet, but it's also being a step ahead and thinking fast and making creative runs, and I think that's a lot harder to do and be creative with.
It is, and you have to remember, right? Like as adults, we know we grew up, we communicate a lot of people and stuff like that, and for kids don't do that. Kids don't go out of their way to say hi to another kid. It's just not something that they normally will do. So we have to understand that if as a coach or whoever having a session or something, if we don't create that environment where they communicate and they actually have some understanding of some, or they could able talk about something, or they could discuss a problem. Hey, so this is what happened here. I can't get past this person. Can you figure out how to get past this person here? Or this person playing really close to me. I gotta give me a 1-2 option or something like that. So just discussing the game and figuring out problems. Like problem solving is diminishing. We can see players get the ball and they're like stuck. They don't know what they're gonna do with the ball. Like we gotta have an option. We gotta have that ability to think outside the box. So um, based on most courses that I did, we always try for, okay, can we create a um, creative thinker? What I mean, have a creative mind, have be able to think outside the box, solve problems. And then I try to offer problems to my teams and offer problems to my players who I work with. I say, hey, can you solve this problem here? Or hey, this is what's happening right here with some kind of tech stuff. Could you figure it out? And see them come in groups and okay, hey, we want to build this goal up here. And can you figure it out? So I will give little tasks to my teams and to my players, and just to see how they think outside the box, see if they could figure out things together, because at the end of the day, it's a team effort. It's not one person, right? Yeah.
Is there, like, a favorite, like, small-sided game or drill you have that, like, really gets the players thinking and kind of looking around the field? I'm sure you
Uh,
have a lot, but,
I have a
maybe
lot,
kinda
but
describe your favorite one.
I think, okay, so I coach 2009 girls right now, and the favorite game they love is Over the River. So it's basically a possession game type game that I took so much out of. No, they don't know that, but I took so much out of that, like possession, expression, spacing, being compact, being organized, being ready to go, controlling the ball in the air, aerial ball, driven ball, making decisions, driving forward. There's so much things that I made from that, because eh, if we know how the game is played, you could always mess with the rules and the things in it, and it's still a game, right? I can make it more defenders and make it more difficult for you. I make it more smaller, make it more difficult for you. I can make it bigger, then you have more time to think. So I took my simple game over the river and I created so much out of it. And I'm saying is that you don't have to change your drill every single time. What you can do is take the same drill and add things to it that makes it more like you have to make more decision about it. And then insert all the key technical aspects you need in the game, like passing and receiving, controlling the ball, dribbling the ball, and all those things. Then you can add goals eventually as you progress, So that's my favorite game, Over the River. We call it Over the River. Sure, I got other couple names out about it, but that's my favorite.
It sounds like it's also like a very engaging game and the ball is constantly in play. And
Very
nothing makes me cringe more when I watch training sessions and there are lines, people are standing, and it's like there's just no touches on the ball, no movement off the ball. And I'm like, I don't know how much they're getting out of this right now unless it's a recovery day and you plan that, but
right,
I
right,
think those, like, really challenging small-sided games where you're forced to make a lot of decisions, that's really how skill is developed, and there is a place for the unopposed skills training and kind of mastering the ball on your own time, but
correct, correct,
overall,
correct.
if you're gonna be with a technical coach like you, it's really about the small-sided games.
Right. So normally, if a player come to work with me, is basically like to really seriously work with me. That means they have to have a good technical background. You understand? Because I'm not gonna coach them for 30 minutes doing passing and receiving. Forget it. You gotta do that at home. So if you come to work Coach Felix or Coach Flex, you gotta have a good technical background, be able to strike the ball, be able to control the ball, because I don't spend time doing that. You could do that in the backyard. You could do that with your friends. You could do that with your dad, passing the ball to you. I want to go straight into how could we make you better as a player, using the soccer ball to either dribble or pass, be creative in that position you want to play. You understand? So normally I try to find out what position do you want to play. What do you really feel to play? What? Because they have players, right, that really want to attack, but they're defending. You understand me? So it's not unlocking the passion that they want to play. Or there's goalkeepers that really want to play midfield, but they're not really expressing that, not building the skill level to do that, right? So ultimately, they're gonna be a goalkeeper. They're not gonna be anywhere else because they're not even getting a chance to like do other things, right? So I always make it open for all the players to try different things, and I rotate all the players. So I'll do small groups sometimes where I have like 6, 7 players in different positions. I have maybe strikers, midfielders, left, right, whatever it is, and I rotate all the players. Hey, have a go there. Try it. See what's going on. And then you have times players say, "Hey, coach, I really like this position. Can I stay over here for a little bit?" I say, "Yeah, sure. Play over there a little bit." And then they go back and they're gonna play a game, and they play the game, and they remember, "Oh, I did this last time, and coach put me in that position now, but now I'm deal with Coach Flex, so now I can add it now." So they have other things that they could, if they get an opportunity, they're not going to say no because I did a little bit with Coach Flex and I understand what he told me to do. Make sense?
I think that's so cool, and sometimes you unlock so much talent when you put a player in that new position, and that might be the position they get
Yep.
recruited to play in
Yep.
college, and they didn't know that. Like, some girls I know started as center backs and then played forward in college. It's a very common scenario, so it's good that you're really shaking things up, and I also love that you said that a lot of players who come to you, they have to have the foundations of good technical skills, and if they don't, they have to really practice that on their own, and a lot of what you do is small group training, and you wanna make the most of those numbers,
Yep.
so
Yep.
you're not gonna have girls doing, like, TikToks and pullbacks, and you're not gonna
No.
waste time because
So,
everyone
so
can do that on their own time.
so those kind of technical skills, I think it's gonna waste the whole hour because you're working for an hour, right? That's gonna waste the whole hour, right? Now, when I do my small groups, I'm doing all those technical skills in the small group. Just I'm not doing like this, like one on one like that. I'm gonna have the player on the right wing. Hey, we're gonna pass the ball to you. You have to receive it. Good first touch. So you're working on first touch. We gotta drive towards that mannequin, working on dribbling. You gotta do a move, working on a move. You gotta take a shot. So all those things you have to work on one-on-ones, it's included into the small group. It makes sense? So that's why I say that I think it's a waste of time sometimes. I think the only way I'm gonna work with a player like that is if they're the beginner, and if you're a beginner, it's not economically friendly to work with me for like every time, right? So I would say, hey, I'll work with you once every 2 weeks. You understand me? When you come here, we'll get an hour of me seeing what you was doing at home and say, hey, let's correct that. You was doing this a little wrong. Or I normally give them an option. Hey, you can record what you're doing at home for 10 seconds and send to me. You know what I mean? Because you have the right to work with me one on one, right? Um, and then we work from there. So normally the parent is really involved. You have to understand that the parent has to be involved in the process because it's a kid. The kid can't drive to the games. They can't buy their food. They can't do anything. You got to help them, right? So basically, I'm working with the parent to help them understand if you're a beginner, help them understand, hey, this is what's happening. This is what environment you got to get them in. This is how you got to think about the game now. You got to be more part of the game because if you're not watching the game or like encourage him about the game, they're not gonna have to do it. You know what I mean? So if you want to be exposed to it, guide them to a game. Let them see them play, and this kind of stuff. And if if they think they want to go to the next level, hey, I'm sure there's clubs that always play against each other. The top clubs, that have ECL games on the weekend. Guide them over there to see. The boys and girls, go to them see. And you'll be surprised when they go and see what inspiration they get, or they have a role model for a player, and they want to play even more, want to train even more. So we can't force the kids to train these days. So it's up to them to be exposed to things that will want them to train.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the parent getting involved in the sense, like, making sure the kid develops that passion, and I've always seen a lot of soccer players, like, play 1v1 against their dads in, like, the backyard,
Yep,
and
yep,
it's so competitive and
yep,
fun, and then they bring that to a session like yours, and they're just outrunning everyone because
right.
the dad's so much bigger and stronger, and that alone is a nice challenge for the kids. So
Yeah,
I think the more the parents can be a part of that training instead of being like, "Hey, get in the backyard and do your touches," but be a part of that instead.
yeah, yeah. Because you have to understand, right? The parents gonna be traveling to all the games. They're gonna go to all the practices. They're part of the process too. You know what I mean? So when I have a discussion with a client, normally I'll say, "Hey, so I'm gonna we speak. This session right now is about the kid, all right, and the kid's development. I don't care about how much experience your dad has. I don't care about what medals he made and what team he played for. I don't care about that. What I care about how you gonna use that knowledge you have, dad, to help the kid you want to bring up, and how you want to bring them up based on the game you want to play. You understand me? The game has changed tremendously. So the way how you play back in the day, dad, ain't the same way now. You understand me? You gotta go on to the minds of the youths now. Like you can't I can't train them how I used to train back in the day. I hated running laps. I hated it, right? And I hated line drills too. Like I gotta wait so long to touch the ball. I hated it. So I'm not gonna bring that into right now because right now the coaching courses is against that, right? Because you're not engaging the player, because you have the player for how much. So normally we schedule a session with the team, right, for like an hour 30 minutes, right? Now, I'm very, very big on organization, right? So if a kid show up at session starting at 6, right? If you arrive at 6, that means your shoes not even on yet, your shin guards not on yet, you're not even ready mentally, you haven't said hi to anybody, you're not ready to go yet. So let's say 15 minutes gone already, right? So 6:15, we getting ready to start. When we're getting ready to start now, coach gotta explain what we're doing, do, right? Even though they know the topic already, know what we're working on, I gotta explain what we're gonna do, set the parameters, set the rules up, set the game up. All right. Good. So that might take a 5 minutes to explain the game. It's already set up already, but just I gotta explain the game, right? Explain the game. When we start, they gotta get water breaks. They might get like 4 or 5 water breaks, maybe 6 water breaks in between because we in Florida, it's hot. So we gotta get the water breaks. And then after, so if we say 2 minutes for each, 3 minutes for each water break, we could say that's already 18 minutes gone there, 20 minutes gone. So 20 minutes, 15 minutes, that's already 40 minutes already, right? And then we gotta move between each phase of the session. When we move in, sometimes we gotta pick up cones, sometimes we gotta move around, we gotta get pennies, who gotta go to the bathroom sometimes. It's just so let's say you go and practice for 30 minutes, intense, right? And that's all you get. If you get 3 times a week, that's only 1 hour, 30 minutes in a week to go and play a 1.5 hour game. So we're not getting enough time. And I stress that we need to get organized faster. So mostly in my environments, we have things that we do normally, and they know what to do at one time. So I ain't gotta spend a long time getting organized. My favorite word when I coach is organized. So they hear it all the time. Get organized, 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 organized. Because if you're not organized, we can't transition well, even on the field and off the field, right? If you're not organized in soccer, right, you lose the ball. If you're not get organized fast enough, they're gonna score on you. So it's just key things like that. I really trust in my environment, organization, and being ready to go.
I really want everyone who's listening to give you a follow on Instagram to see everything you're doing, see some of the drills that you're posting, and just have a chance to reach out to you. So, what is your Instagram and where can everyone find you?
So I'm gonna be sharing more stuff in Instagram. Like this wasn't my favorite thing to share all these stuff because then if I'm focusing on videos, I mean I'm not training properly.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of creating a better way to record and get all the stuff there for people to see. So the training platform that we have is Flex Soccer Training, right? You can find my Instagram. We got a website, flexsoccertraining.com. You could also follow me on Instagram, Coach Flex. If you want to see what's happening with Coach Flex. So they all link together. Just sharing the personality, sharing what I do, and what love, how I want to share the passion of the game. Yeah, so it's just easy to find me. Flex Soccer Training is a palm tree, two palm trees, two palm trees, and a soccer ball. So it's a connection of the island life and also the game.
So yeah, you definitely can't miss the palm trees and the soccer ball on the
Yeah, miss
page,
that. You can't.
and I'll link the Instagram in the caption below. So be sure everyone to follow Coach Felix and see everything that he's doing. And I will see you guys on the next episode.